Color can be a really important part of your photo editing, whether it's going to be a color correction or a creative adjustment to your colors. And what I want to do in this video is walk you through what I think is one of the most important aspects if you are going to adjust colors that you're going to want to do. And so we're going to do this in Lightroom Classic. Just remember, Lightroom Classic, Lightroom, and Adobe Camera Raw, they're all exactly the same. So everything I do here in Classic will work across the board in all of your Adobe Raw editors. But the idea is to get ourselves away from the global color edits. If we need them, of course, we're going to use them, but get ourselves away from that and go down a little bit deeper into some really powerful ways to even select colors before we ever go into the color controls to even edit those things. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I think it'd be worth just spending a minute talking about what our goal is when we're adjusting color. And I think whenever we're adjusting or correcting a color, I think one of the main goals is to be very, very targeted in the colors that we're working with here. So if we start simple, okay, and we're in the main edit settings, we have, of course, your default vibrance and saturation. You're globally pushing color at these areas. But I think more often than not, you're going to end up in color mixer. We're not going to talk about color grading. Color grading's more of a finishing touch. It's more of a creative, stylistic finishing touch. It's not something that needs to be done to every photo. Where color mixing, I think more of adjusting specific colors and also color correcting, which is something that you could very well need in many, many types of photos where, again, color grading is more stylistic. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get the best way to adjust colors, okay? If we come to color mixer, sure, we can go to the mixer area. We've got hue, saturation, luminance for all of these colors here. So I can go to the blues and I can crank up the saturation and get a little bit more blues into those guys. But of course, that's global. It's a good start. All right, it's a good way for us to attack just the blues in the photo, but it's going to be global to the entire photo, and there's no way to change that. Speaking of no way to change things, you can't change that. We've got to pay the bills. So quick word from our sponsor, which is always me. I've got a course out there. If this stuff interests you, I've got a course out there called Mastering the Sky with AI. I think the sky is probably one of the most important parts of our outdoor photos, that is, creative landscape, outdoor nature photography, and learning how to edit it and really take control over it, I think, is important. So I've got a really fun course. It's basically broken up into 3 parts. The creative part, nothing to do with sky replacements or anything, just crafting the sky to look the way that you want it to look. Second part of the course does dive deeper into sky replacements, and then the third part of the course is actually generating your own skies with AI if that's something that you ever wanted to do. The bulk of the course is really part 1 as far as crafting and editing and learning what to do with your sky. So it's a really fun course on sale now. I hope you'll swing by to find out more. Back to the video where we were talking about how to get a little bit more targeted in your color adjustments. Go over here to point color. We can get even a little bit more targeted with point color, where I can take that eyedropper and I can go click on a specific area. So let's go say this balloon over here, and then I can increase the saturation there. Now, it is more targeted. You'll notice it's affecting the whole sky, but it is affecting less of the sky than when I was working in the mixer part of this and working with the blue saturation. That was just blasting saturation at all of the blues in the photo, where I'm being a little bit more specific by just working on a specific blue inside here. But again, that's going to be global. So even though it looks like it's really working on the blues down here, it definitely worked on the blues up here as well. Whether you like that or not, that's besides the point. We're trying to give you different options for getting more fine-tuned in your color adjustments here. Okay, so I think we start basic. I just want to blast color at the entire photo. Your vibrance, saturation, that's the way to do that. Your next step is going to be color mixer. It's going to blast color or hue or luminance at specific colors in the photo, but it's going to be a very broad range of them. Point color allows us to get a little bit more fine-tuned in that by just working on a specific area. But again, if that area exists in other parts of the photo, you're going to manipulate it. So here's where we come to what I think is the main part of this tip. And that is, if you're going to work on colors, okay, make a mask first of the area that you want to work on. So we'll go over to our masking tools here. Make a mask first. So we could make this very, very simple, right? I could go to a sky mask here, and I've got the black and white one turned on here. The color overlay is the one you're probably used to seeing a little bit more, but I like the black and white for this because I can see exactly where it's working on here. Make a mask first, because guess what you get with that mask? You get, when you go to the color panel there, and again, don't ever, if you ever see the word basic and go below that, you're working globally. Even if you're in the mask, it's still global. I get that question a lot, so consider it a little public service announcement. Once you see basic and down, these are all global adjustments. You got to stay above that for the masks. But a lot of people think we don't have color mixer up here. In a way we do, all right? We've got hue and we've got saturation. And honestly, if you wanted luminance, just make it brighter or darker with exposure. Okay, so under color, we mostly have color mixer, and you're going to see how that even gets better in just a second. So we pretty much do have color mixer there. But now I can go in here and blast some saturation into the blues just in the sky. But we go further than this. Okay, let me undo and get back to just adding a mask here. Here's where you can get really targeted with it. So let's say I want to work on the blues or the reds or some colors in this balloon only. Well, I could take my object selection tool or whatever. I don't want to make this a masking tutorial. Whatever tool works best for what you're trying to select. So I could take my object selection tool. Then I can go down here to point color and take that eyedropper and just drop it over here on maybe the reds in there. Now, not only do I have a really good range of reds and a really good method to work on that range of reds with point color, because it gives you quite a few options inside here. But not only do I have got a really good range of reds to work with, I'm only working on the reds in a very specific part of the photo, so now I can blast some saturation at those. I'm going to crank it up just so you can see it in that lower left-hand corner. But now I can get much more targeted this way. Okay, and it's the same tools that I had back in the main edit panels, especially when it comes to point color. Color mixer, yeah, probably a little bit different. You know, we go over here, but essentially it's still the same, and I'll show you how you can make it very much the same in a second here. But you still can come back here and use these colors, but point color, it's powerful in the main edit panels. It's way more powerful here because now I can tell it specifically where to look at, and it's not going to look at all of those reds in the entire photo. But now here's where you take this another level. So we go, let's create a new mask. This time I'll create a new mask of color range, and I'll just lasso that yellow. So essentially now I have color mixer. Remember, color mixer allows you to do yellows, blues, aquas, greens, etc. So essentially I have color mixer because I just made a mask of the yellows with color range, and I can refine it. The more left I go with that slider, the more strict it's going to get. The more right I go, the more feathered it's going to get. So you can see only white areas are going to be adjusted. That's the way to think of this. All right. So now I've targeted the yellows. If I don't want anything but that one balloon, I can go and subtract and just take, you know, the brush here and do that. I can just go in here and just erase all of that and get rid of it. So I'm just working on that balloon. Now I can come down here to color. Now I have hue, just like I did in color mixer. I have saturation, just like I did in color mixer. And again, I told you, you can go under tone to adjust the exposure, or the whites, whatever. That'll make it brighter or darker. The luminance is probably not the one that's used the most inside of there. But if you did need to make those yellows brighter or darker, then you could always do that under the tone area. So it is a little bit of a roundabout way, but I actually think it's better. I think it's better because it not only does a mask give you targeted control over a specific area, but if you create that mask in the right way, now you've refined it to a specific area of the photo, but you've also refined it to a specific color before ever even getting into any of those color tools. So you can get very targeted in what you want to do. Also, if you're interested, I do have a video here that I did a while back on 3 ways to help select the sky. So if you're interested in that topic, that'd be a great video to go check out next.